Lincoln?
Well, it's really interesting because not to speak too much because I'm not an attorney, but not to speak too much on that topic and overstep my boundaries, but I find that there's been quite an infiltration of new builds and new major opportunities with that comes with that. And a lot of people are, taking heed to that. And it's really changed the landscape, especially in Placer County and in Roseville, particularly. It's really changed the landscape here. And there's so much that comes with that. And it's like, how do you navigate, that? I mean, there are agents in Roseville that call themselves new home specialists that just sell new homes and they just mediate the sale of new homes, and that's fine and kind of hard to niche that. But that's great. I think it's great to niche yourself to the best of your ability. But what I've started to notice is that these buyers kind of are coming in truckloads level amount of interest. And so it makes it so that the sales associates don't have to be super on top of it. The lenders don't have to be super on top of it.
Yeah.
Title and escrow doesn't have to be super on top of it. And it makes for I've had a couple deals this year that have been really hairy, and I've needed to really babysit them. There are some amazing builders in Placer County specifically that do a wonderful job of really staying on top of it and keeping, choosing the right team, so to speak. But there are some builders that just, and there was a builder that I just had an experience with in Lincoln that was really interesting. So when these buyers want these homes, and it's nothing to do with the home, it's don't get mad at the home when these things happen. And especially for first-time home buyers, nothing is ever perfect in a real estate transaction.
Yeah.
That is why you need to have a real estate agent. And I tell a seller that who wants to for sale by owner their home, you don't want to take on the legal responsibility. You don't want to take on the responsibility of the paperwork and the liability. Believe me, you don't want to do it. And, it's the same thing with buyers. There's such a layer of legality that happens, and there's so many different technicalities and different things that happen, and we're human, and there's bound to be another shoe to drop. Always, the shoe always drops. So, it's don't be mad at the house, don't be mad at the situation, never give up, and just keep pushing forward. And no matter what, that's why I always like to see an agent who's so on top of it and does kind of micromanage a little bit. Like I'm not sorry about it. It's not about being,
I agree.
Yeah, it's not about being rude or pushy. I think there's a way to be strong and to be stern and to just not let your clients get walked all over. And that's kind of what this market requires. And especially in the new builds.
Yes.
So, and that's a lot of Roseville right now. So
yeah,
that's
the new builds are definitely interesting. I mean,
yeah,
that's why I try to tell, like my barber, he's buying a new, or they did buy a new build, but him and his wife are self-employed.
Yeah.
And he was so stressed out. And I said, okay, we're going to pretend like I'm your loan officer and we're going to go through this together, because you're going to go to their lender and give them what I'm telling you. Because whether they ask for it now or later, they're going to ask for it. So this is how I want you to do it. Because he's like, I call them. I mean, his story was kind of sad to hear, but he would say, I call them and they say, yeah, we're not, I mean, we think it might go through, but we're not 100% sure if you're going to be able to qualify. And he's like, we're supposed to close in a couple of weeks. What do you mean you still don't know? So it's interesting when it comes to some of the new builds. And I mean, I feel for them because they get a lot of people submitting applications online. It's just, you got to be quick on it. But a lot of people think their situation's straightforward and they'll call, and it's not usually super straightforward.
No, it's very complicated. And I think that I'm excited to see what it's going to look like this time next summer, because there's only so much land to build on. And I've always heard and been told that, you know, the only way after you can't keep building out is up. And I don't foresee that happening with
No.
Roseville. And so the drip's going to have to stop at some point, and we're going to start seeing a flood of resales. So then what's that going to look like? It's a pendulum. It's always ever changing.
I think you're going
So
to see a lot of new builds resell, and people
mhm.
that haven't done the backyard, I
Oh
went
my
to
gosh.
that's when it all starts to settle too.
I
So you
know.
start to see cracks everywhere in the house, and they're not selling it for as much as, you know, an older house in more of an established neighborhood, because they've already
Yeah.
dealt with the settling. The backyard's done. And so you're going to get a lot of people wanting to sell that just are not getting the price that they thought. That's
Yeah.
my opinion on new builds.
100%.
Yeah. There's
Absolutely.
something else with the new builds I was going to say too, but now I don't even remember. I think I'm getting kind of sick. I saw my brother this weekend. He was sick, and then my daughter is sick, and so I'm like, I think it's hitting me a
Aww.
little bit.
It's the summer cold, the summer flu. There is something going around. My mom was like sick with the flu last week, down.
Oh,
Like
really?
she was down. Yeah. I
Well, I'm
don't know what
hoping
that
this is not the
was.
flu, but I think it's just like a little head cold of some kind, because it sounds like what my brother had, just like a little tickle in the throat and just a little foggy, almost
What
like you're
I
hungover.
had, speaking of fog, I had the winter illness from
Oh,
that fog like last year.
oh,
And
yeah.
I still get the sniffles from it every once in a while. Like, I don't think I ever fully recovered. I
I
don't know
forgot
what's
about that.
wrong. Yeah, it plagued everybody.
That fog. Oh, the fog too.
I know. Us born
Yeah.
and raised Californians
Yep.
can't handle it.
Yep.
Need
Yeah.
the sun.
Yeah. Let me pull up some of the questions for you too. Any
Okay.
other stories you have?
Oh man, I think there's always hilarious stories. What I love about real estate is it's just so hilarious. I find that, you know, we take our jobs very seriously, and it requires a certain type of person to do what we do in our respective lanes, you as a lender and me as a realtor. And you know, you got to find humor in the everyday. There's just sometimes there's just funny things that happen, like, you know, it's like, oh, let's just figure that out. I'm like waiting for, you know, pictures to come back on this listing, and I'm waiting for, you know, these different things. And people are just funny. You gotta love people. You just gotta love people. So most of my funny stories have to do with how much I love people.
Yes.
Often,
Realizing I texted you these
oftentimes.
questions. Yeah, you have to repeat it over and over and over again. I love people. I love people. I love people.
I
I tell
love my
people,
job.
because
I
they'll
love my
say like,
job. I
"Oh,
love my
I'm
job.
sure you have the craziest experience with clients." It's with other people in the industry.
It really is. The clients are the little angels. They really
Yes.
are. The clients are like, you know, they're such a relief. They're like a breath of fresh air after
Yeah.
the craziness that ensues. It's just funny. And I'm just not one of those agents that's like territorial or anything like that. I think there's a seat at the table for everybody. And that's the mentality that my team operates on. Is there really is a seat at the table for everybody. And especially getting into, you know, being a Placer County specialist in the area, there's so many layers to Placer County. And I think that there's such a way to niche yourself in one way or another. So I
Yeah.
don't think there needs to be pettiness or rudeness or anything like that.
No, and actually, I was talking to someone else about this. When it comes to competition or people out there, I actually think we need, from my perspective, because I had a lot of agents I worked with in the past that at the start of this year, they totally quit the industry and they went and they got full-time jobs in a lot of
Yeah.
states. And my thing is, I think there are a lot of people are gun shy when it comes to the internet. because we get spammed and scammed constantly. Whereas before, people would just request, they'd put their information on whatever website to request information on houses. So I think people are avoiding the internet, but people need knowledge and education about like what the market is, why it might be a good time to buy, why now might not be. But you only really get that from agents, because I think agents advocate really well for home buying and loan officers. But when you have a lot of people leaving the industry, you get a lot less people who are being educated and would otherwise buy, who don't think that they can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. I think that if you can make a market like this work, you can really make anything work. But I think, as is any other, kind of volatile career like this, I remember stories from my mom telling me she's 23 years in the business, and she really started and came up in the 2008 crisis. And she did a lot of work in that time, and she managed to come out rookie of the year and at her brokerage. And, it's like I said, it's really a pendulum. The market, the state of the market is never different. The contents of the market change, and they flow, and they're fluid, and there aren't many binaries that we should be sticking to as far as what's going on in the market, what's going on in Iran, what's going on in Palestine, how does that affect us, what happened in the Fed, they're infiltrating all this, interest rates. It's like that is always going to be happening, but the market is ever flowing. And so I think for us, it's really important to be able to kind of read the room, because it's never an easy deal. It's never an easy market. People are never easy.
It's never an easy market.
This is not an easy job.
Yeah.
It's not an easy job. This is a very high level job. And that's why we love it.
Yeah.
That's the passion.
Yeah. I mean, I think if people try to time the market, it's something I had posted on TikTok, and I got a lot of weird responses, but I got a lot of good responses in the sense that, look, I just try to tell the story. The people I know who have a ton of wealth in real estate, and they're selling their properties and putting them in other investments, but they have millions, are the people who have just bought over the years. Yeah. To be honest, they didn't buy a lot when the rates were super low, which is very interesting to me. So a lot of these people, when rates were higher is when they tended to buy, because when rates were really low, it was so competitive that they were just annoyed and they waited to buy. But then they'd buy multiple properties. And like one guy, he's a military veteran, I think a Marine, and 8 properties over the last like 6 years, 7 years that he's bought, and he's selling them all off and doing a 1031 exchange to this other type of similar investment. I want to say it's like 4 million or 5 million that he has.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that. And it's funny, to your point. I find that in no matter what market there's always a constructible excuse to not. Yeah. There's always a reason to not. There's always a reason to. I'm not here to push anybody. If it's not the time, it's not the time. But I think that, there also could be stats to those people that have made their millions on these homes. They didn't necessarily, people always say in the stocks, you don't ever buy high, you buy low. But it's also, you don't want to make an emotional decision. You don't want to not be in the right place to make your money back on this and to have a great ROI if you're not like lined up to do that, just because the rate is like at a 2.75 in the market. Right. We don't want to make rational decisions and emotional decisions, because what's going on out here is always going to be going on.
Yeah.
So, a lot of it is so emotional. A lot of this is really emotional.
Well, and I'm glad you said that, because that is kind of what our talk and my idea was about, is like, can you afford to buy in Placer County? Is the thing is, I think a lot of people have so much emotion behind what they see and hear on the internet.
Yeah.
And it starts to tell them now is not a good time to be buying. It's not affordable, but instead, if you look at some of the positive things, which is, a few years ago, one, you don't want to be buying a house when prices are dropping. If you're trying to wait for someone who says, hey, buy, the housing market's going to crash, that's when you want to buy. What? Then you're going to have a rate at 12% or more.
Exactly. Then you're going to be
cause
transacting in a crashing housing market. That sounds like a great idea. Let's do that.
Yeah. The housing market crashing means the job market's crashing, and I would not be buying a house.
So let's do it.
That is not the ideal time. Instead, it should be, hey, prices still are going up. Now, to me, if rates have come down, but then they've spiked back up again, then I know, okay, they're likely to go down again at some point. So why don't I buy it now while they're higher, because there's less competition. And obviously, I think, and I'll just say this when it comes to affordability, I hear people all the time on the internet, and this is why, to your point about the emotion, it makes it more emotional when you're trying to relate to someone and they say there's no way you can afford to live right now or afford to buy right now. But I have a lot of single parent clients who are able to afford to buy right now in Placer County. So to me, I think reaching out and talking to someone who's a professional and actually listens to what you say. So you're not hiring someone to give you a deal. You're hiring someone to be your representative, like Brielle. And you choose them because they can then advocate for you and educate you on, hey, look, it is affordable to buy right now. Here might be the benefits, but let's talk about your goals. And there are a lot of interesting programs out. So there's a lot of down payment assistance. There are lenders right now who are accepting Vantage Score over FICO Score, which is nice because FICO was the only player for a while. They're very slow to adjust your credit score, and that can change what rate you get. And so now we're able to—
That's game changing.
Yeah. Oh, so I had last weekend on Sunday, I pulled someone's credit, 573 FICO, 634 Vantage, or it was higher, but we have to, because it's a new program, we have to deduct 20 points. So with the deduction of 634. So now either they can go FHA and get a really low rate, or if they're looking, it's a little tough. Some houses can't qualify FHA, so they may want to go conventional, but they can do that. Or sorry, they can't go FHA. I'm confusing it. The other big one is doctor loans. So there are a lot of lenders adopting the doctor loan, which is no mortgage insurance. You can go up to 100% financing. And if you're brand new, they look at your income a little bit differently. Whereas before, because medical professionals are paid in different ways, before it made it really difficult, you'd probably have to be there for at least a year. Now, nope, they'll start counting it right away. So it's very interesting.
Wow. Have you seen some of that come down in practice yet? Have you used that program yourself?
I used to have a lot of people reach out about it.
Yeah.
The tough part, though, was there was like one lender that I knew that offered it, because I can broker loans to people, and they are the freaking worst. They will make your life a nightmare. And so a lot of times I would tell people, look, here's going to be the downside of this loan. It's really working with this lender. But you also, a lot of people would have the money. So I would just say, look, I think it'd be a little bit better, because their rate was also really bad. Let's say it'd be better to come out of pocket the money, and here's what we would do. Now you get to work with the A paper lender, get the best rate, and still get that program, which is
absolutely
nice. Yeah. Because it's not just doctors. It's also, I think it's also physician's assistants. There's a pretty wide range of people that can qualify for it.
Very cool. Yeah, I know. I've seen all the Instagram lenders this week posted in and out about that doctor program, and I'm like, y'all are so lucky you have something to post about this week. I gotta think about what I'm gonna talk about.
You know what's funny though is I posted about it, but I actually find when agents post about it, they get more reactions than lenders posting about it. I'd rather the agent post about it.
I think it's another, it's a mind game thing. It's, I'm more inclined to follow a realtor and, because it's all the glitz and the glam and the whatnot, and it's a little
Yeah,
bit more pleasing and
the fun part.
understandable to the naked eye, and with a lender we automatically think it's the numbers and you just handle it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
just back and you'll explain it to me in layman's terms at the end. But I find that funny. Realtors definitely have niched themselves. All of us have learned how to kind of, I don't know, zhuzh it up maybe a little bit. I think it's the selling sunsetness that some realtors really took that and ran with it. And I was like, I'm all about that. It's just like your face, your brand recognition, your everything, and some agents really can get away with a lot nowadays. Didn't used to be
Yeah.
like that.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am licensed in Florida, and it is
Oh my
it,
gosh. Yeah, I bet it's
it's
crazy.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really don't prefer it
Mm-hmm.
because it's tough. Because if someone, yeah, that's a whole nother. Yeah,
Whole
the things they
other
get away with, I'm
rabbit
like,
hole.
whoa.
I know. And
Hmm.
that's normalized. And if you're not doing that, it's funny because for me with the social media thing, I'm not going to act out of character. I think your character is all that you have in this business. And so for me, that's not something I'm going to compromise on. And I've had, countless brokers and managing brokers in the past tell me, you're of this certain age, and because I'm 23, I just turned 23, and you're 23, you're this age. So that means you must, XYZ, you must want to do all this social media stuff. And it's like, it's kind of a major conclusion to draw from just me being 23. It's like, I'm actually really worried about being amazing at the job first. I think all of that can come later. And it's not something I'm willing to compromise on. And I just wouldn't.
Good. Yeah. Well, that's good. And I guess kind of going to some of the questions I wanted to ask you was like,
Yeah.
what are the different areas in Placer County that you serve?
Oh, well, so I'm born and raised Placer County. I have lived while I was a baby, I lived in Wheatland, and then we moved to Lincoln, and then we moved to Rocklin, and now we've been in Roseville, and I've lived here since I was 12 years old, and now I'm 23. So I've been all up and around Placer County. I love it here, and I serve everywhere that I can. I obviously specialize in Roseville, Rocklin, Lincoln, but I love Loomis. I love any of those places. I love to go outside of Placer County. I don't really pigeonhole myself. Wherever the business calls me, that's where I'm going to go. I'm not picky in the slightest. I've done a lot of business in Citrus Heights. I've done a lot of business in Orangevale, Fair Oaks, Folsom, Granite Bay, Antelope, which is just on the other side of Roseville. So
As long as it's good
really
people.
everywhere. Yeah. I live in Roseville, and I do a bunch of business here. So yeah, that's
I love
me.
it.
Yeah.
And then I did want to ask too, because you've been doing this for a while, and then your mom has also been doing it for a while. But
Yes.
I asked this question to a lot of people, but I'd love to hear your perspective. What
Yeah.
are common mistakes buyers make in the process?
Oh, how much time you got?
Yeah.
This is my favorite topic because I feel like this is so my job to help illuminate and highlight those things for people. I think a big mistake is thinking that you can't reach out.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think that a big mistake is thinking that, you can't reach out to somebody if you think, maybe I'm a couple years down the line. There's nothing stopping you from reaching out to an agent who works for their self. That's a free consultation. If they're a good agent, they're going to be happy to talk to you. And same thing with the lender. not to speak out of turn, but I know for myself, I'm so happy to have those conversations. Those are so life-giving to me and exciting. So I think I would say that not reaching out or being afraid to reach out or thinking that, oh, I don't. Also, okay, another topic, thinking that you have to have a certain amount of money saved, you have to have a 20% down, you have to have this or that and the other thing, XYZ. I think that's a big mistake. It's 2026, things are changing. You know, we've really gotten smart about these different programs that we have, and
Right.
just like you spoke to that. And another thing I would say is don't pigeonhole yourself. You might think that I need this exact thing. And then you might start looking at things and you say, no, I actually think I might like this. Or, just keep yourself open-minded. And I think that's an overarching concept that bleeds into the two previous mistakes that I mentioned is keep an open mind and make a call, reach out. Like, don't be afraid. Keep an open mind on what programs there are, or ask somebody, and reach out. Get in the driver's seat. You know,
You're the first one to say those three things, but that first one, which I agree with all of them, absolutely. That first one is so true, though. The amount of people that
yeah,
I have heard say, "Oh, we don't want to bother you," or we try to do some research first. As great as AI is in the
don't.
research, don't forget that AI right now, the big talking point is that it hallucinates. So if you're using AI to get
Yeah,
research, it hallucinates. It doesn't always know. And I am encouraged to use AI just reading guidelines in our industry, and it's wrong a lot. So
yeah.
I would agree that, especially an agent too, is just reach out. Someone like me too. With lenders, it can be a little tricky. You just want to make sure the person's not going to pull your credit.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
at some point, when you're actually looking, yes, we'll want to run your credit. But if you're just wanting to get an idea, get some information, do be careful, because there are some loan officers that will just have you complete an application and it's automatic pulling your credit. So yeah, thank you for that. And kind of along with that, which is one of the big questions I think a lot of people, especially if you're trying to think like, is it affordable to buy right now? One of the big questions I wish people would ask their agent more is, are sellers right now giving credits to help cover closing costs or giving any
Mhm.
kind of deal? Like, how's the market in that regard?
I mean, I'm doing a deal right now in Citrus Heights where that's happening. I
Okay.
think that this is it's a bigger question of, are sellers negotiating and can your agent negotiate, period.
Yeah.
I think that anything can happen, and just like I said, kind of, this main point of everything around here is always going to be happening, but what's right here is always going to stay the same. And that's what my job is. And that's to negotiate. It's not, can I give you a deal? I'm not here to give you anything. I'm not buying the house. You're buying the house. But what I can
Well
do is I
said.
can.
Well said.
Exactly. I'm an agent, and that means something. And when we look up agency in the dictionary and in a legal term, that's what that means. And I'd urge everybody before they buy a house to look up what the legal term agency means. And so for me, I'm here to get you something on behalf of you and represent you. So when I think about that, I'm here to get you, if you need a credit for something, for anything, for a repair, for a closing cost credit,
Yeah.
for anything that could happen, we're going to try and get it. And we're going to make an offer that's strategic enough to be able to leverage ourselves, because you have to give something to get something in this
Yep.
game. That's it. That's basic negotiation. So absolutely, in answer to your question, I'm absolutely seeing, closing cost credit. I'm seeing repair credit. I'm seeing credit, period.
Yeah. Yeah. I will
So yeah,
say, yeah, great point is that you're hiring someone not for them to give you a credit, but for them to negotiate. Because I've worked with a lot of agents on the lending side who are scared to ask for credits. They just want to close the deal. I also will say that, to your last point, you know, I've had someone recently said, why do I need to close so quickly? Or why do we need to have the loan contingency, you know, be 7 days? I said,
Great
look,
question.
Because the property is vacant and they want their money now. And if that gets you extra credits and money or a better deal on the house, it's only me having to do all that work, and Brielle. So we will make that happen, because yes, that will get it done. Yeah. Getting inspections scheduled super fast, begging them to make an exception and get in and do it quickly.
It's all for the sake of, you know, listen, I'm here to represent my client, but at the end of the day, I'm here to have an amazing transaction, and it takes two to tango. You know, you have to be considerate of the other side with respect to your client and how that affects your client. So we don't want to burn any bridges. We don't want to be silly or funny or anything. This is very serious. And it's just, how can I best benefit my client? And how do we do that? And a lot of the times it's really learning how to maintain and nourish the relationship of the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, then on to the next question.
Yeah.
When people come to you, what is the most common concern about buying a home that you're hearing? And then how often is it around assuming what you've kind of said, around assuming a larger down payment? But what's kind of the biggest concerns you're hearing from buyers right now?
Affordability. Everybody's a payment buyer in this day and age. And that could be for different reasons. I think everybody's reason is different. I think either you're someone who's super savvy and you're super, you know, these weren't concerns that we had a bunch of years ago because everyone was fine with, you know, credit card debt in other areas of their life. And we're a lot, our generation that's coming up and becoming first-time home buyers is a lot more financially literate. With that comes a lot of anxiety, I find. It's like the TikTok concept. With so much information, you're bound to just have so much anxiety. It's just flooding. It's too much information. It's like TLDR, too long, didn't read. Like, we got it. So
I like that.
Yeah. A big concern is, can I afford it? And that looks different for everybody.
Yeah.
There's so many different circumstances. There's so many different family circumstances. There are different monthly job circumstances. There are different, someone could be self-employed, or someone could have a big tech job with a major commute, or somebody could have, you know, be a stay-at-home mom or a single mom, or just these different things. Everybody's different. So it's like, I love, you know, seeing something new every day, really, because affordability really translates to comfortability, and that looks different on everybody.
Right. And yeah, with the TikTok and too much information, I know a lot of people, if affordability is a big concern and people are watching things on TikTok about, hey, my mortgage payment went up because of whatever escrow shortage. This is where choosing the right people, and you and I were kind of talking about this when it comes to new builds, is making sure, if you just make sure your property taxes and homeowners insurance are accurate, don't worry about what you're seeing on TikTok.
Exactly.
There is something weird going on when people are like, my escrow was short by this much and my mortgage is going up. If it goes up more than like $30 a month, something got messed up really bad.
That's the thing, because it's all about how many views can I get in this age of social media. So what kind of hook can I build curiosity about? It's going to be obviously about the fact that my mortgage payment went up hundreds of dollars randomly. People are going to freak out, not listen to the video. They're going to read the comments, and they're going to see all these things about negativity about, oh, you can't even afford to live in California, and la 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 la, and whatever. And then we start talking about the governor, and then we get into all these different rabbit holes about like all these different buzzwords. And I find that nobody like researched, like nobody asked. We're all just giving our opinion. And so all that we really can do to get some sort of true information is to reach out to a trusted professional. I mean, that's
A
how you
lot of it, I think,
mitigate.
is clickbait too.
Yes.
I've seen
Yes.
professionals react to some of those videos, and they'll say that is wildly off. The chances of
On
that happening
purpose.
are so slim. I mean, I've
On
seen it happen.
purpose.
I've seen it happen, but I've seen it in a different. It had to do with new builds with Melrose and the extra
Yeah.
property tax. But
Yeah.
yeah, interesting.
And
Well,
that is a one-time thing that has a solution that can be explained and can be fixed and
yep,
will be fixed. And there is always going to be risk with buying a home. There's risks in life, high risk, high reward. And it's just what happens. It's
yeah,
life. Gotta get through it.
yep. Well, and then kind
Yeah.
of on with the, your point of people need to
Yeah.
reach out more. How often do people actually
Mhm.
reach out to you asking about down payment assistance? Because I'm curious if you get a lot or
Ooh.
not.
Yeah, I do. I do get a great deal
Oh,
about
really?
that in
Okay.
this area. Yeah, it's funny. Obviously, a great first time home buyer talking point really is that down payment assistance because it's so
Yeah.
hard in this economy. Everything, compiles into this Sunday of craziness, and the cherry on top is, well, how could you possibly save money right now? And that's so understandable. And
Yeah.
so it's to that point of I'm in a respectable job. My partner is in a respectable career. We're both trying to make it work. It's just hard to save money. How can we do a down payment assistance?
Right.
Different things like that. There's a bunch of inquiries on that.
Yeah.
Everybody wants that assistance. Everybody needs assistance.
Well, it's good that people are reaching out to you. I find a lot of people don't know who to, they just disqualify themselves because they think that they need so
Yes,
much money. But what's funny is
absolutely.
actually, I'd probably say 90% of people who reach out to me about down payment assistance have the money and actually get a better deal. They just don't realize how much money it takes, or they don't realize they can use their 401k or whatever reason.
Yeah.
There are good programs now. It used to be and I hated down payment assistance for the longest time because people would say,
Yeah.
oh, it's my benefit as a first time home buyer. The rate used to be 9% if you wanted to
Yeah.
go with down payment assistance.
Yeah.
Now it's not. Now it's a pretty standard rate, especially with CalHFA. You can go
Yeah.
FHA or conventional, which is nice too.
Exactly. So you just kind of have
Yeah.
to weigh it out. I think that, sometimes down payment assistance works for every circumstance is different. I think that a lot of the times it helps people feel more confident to reach out and say, I'm ready to buy a house, and kind of be vulnerable and put themselves out there.
Yeah.
So sometimes, a lot of the times, actually, we find that no, it's actually, you can just do this straightforward. Like you can do this like this, and you're going to be fine. So, I think every circumstance is different, and sometimes down payment assistance, the juice isn't worth the squeeze to that point. Sometimes the rate's wonky, or it's the company that you're working with is not the best company because they don't need to be the best because their program is so needed. But
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
not to open a can of worms.
Luckily, there aren't
That just
too
happens.
many programs anymore that that only certain companies offer. Credit unions used to offer very specific programs that no one else was
Yeah.
offering. The only thing that they do, unless if you have I don't remember the exact number I heard, but I'm pretty sure it's like 50,000 that you're going to leave in the bank. Maybe a credit union might give you a slightly better, they might cover some costs, but
Mhm.
other than that, not as
Yeah.
much. And then on to another question was, what is the ideal start of the home buying process when working with you, and what does that look like? Someone comes to you, never bought before. They say, Brielle, like what, paint the picture. How does it look like working with you?
First of all, you know, I think it's really important to edify somebody, and congratulate them on taking a leap of faith and feeling like they're ready to be vulnerable and kind of expose themselves. And it's a really personal thing, when you give your information to a lender and they can see everything. And when you have to be honest with your realtor about, what's going on, and you've worked so hard to get to this point and there's so much behind this, it's really a loaded decision. And I'm just all about edifying somebody and being so approachable about it. A Wilton group consultation to me is, a meeting, and I love to meet in person. I'm all about that. Yeah, I'm big on that. And I put together a whole guide for you to take home. But what's really important
Love
to
that.
me is it's to just be a sounding board and to be there for you. I think it's really important to listen, to understand, and not to respond, and kind of be slow to answer, and just kind of let people talk themselves through it. So when I consult, my first step is, when are you free? And let's just get together and be at a neutral ground and just talk about it. What's your why? Why are you doing it?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Coffee or meet in your office?
Oh, whatever makes them comfortable. I think sometimes it's great to be in a neutral meeting space. So, so that they don't feel like pressured or anything like that. So sometimes coffee's great. It just depends. I, love my, office that's right here in Roseville. If they fancy that, then we'll do that. I'm super easy. I'm flexible. If they need a Zoom, we can do a Zoom. I don't care.
What's your favorite coffee place here in town?
Oh, okay. So there's some beautiful new shops that have opened. So I'm going to shout them out because they absolutely need all their flowers. First coffee shop is Haraz Coffee.
Oh,
They
yeah.
have another location in Folsom, and I believe a third location, but this location
I could
is
walk
in
to Haraz
Roseville.
Coffee. Yeah.
Incredible. They have this like white mocha with like these spices, and it's like the most smooth, amazing coffee. And then just down the street is Hot Coffee, Haute.
Huh.
And like the fashion term, and it's really a lovely place. So those two places are incredible. And then a third place is like an OG place. It's Mojo's
Oh,
in
yeah.
West Park. That's a great place. They're all great for different things, but those are my
Yeah.
coffee places.
I love it. Yeah. Mojo's
Yeah.
is great. I like their
Yeah, it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Little ice cream shop too right there.
Well, the story of her is so amazing. The owner, I don't know if you've met her, but she is really an amazing lady. I could edify her on her amazing success. She bought that space and she developed it all, and she, owns all of that. If I'm correct, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure she does. And she's really just facilitated all of that. I mean, yeah, she's an amazing lady. So I love supporting anything I can, really, that has that to it. So
Love it. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's it for my questions.
Okay.
I get for the recording that, thank you for joining. What's the best way for someone to get a hold of you?
The best way for someone to get a hold of me is to send me a text or shoot me a call or send me a follow on Instagram. Go ahead and DM me. I can plug that if you want, or if you are going to edit that and put it in the screen, or however you want to do that.
Yeah.
But those are probably the best ways. Like send me a text or an email. I love to email. Don't get it twisted. I'm 23. I love to email. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm on that. That's my middle name. So whatever works for somebody, I'm checking it all. So whatever works for them, that's the best way to get a hold of me.
Sounds good. We'll have a feature of this video on our website too, so that
awesome.
Yeah, people can see it.
Sounds
Well,
great.
thank you.
Thank you. This is amazing. I hope,
Yeah.
I think that in effort to really make it a well-rounded experience for somebody, in a webinar or in a consultation, it's, background, why are we here, answering misconceptions or questions, and action. What action can you take? And I think it's just taking the first step. I think it's one foot in front of the other, and book a consultation. You never know. You do never know. You never know
Yeah.
what's possible.
Honestly, I mean, you never know is so true. I've had people reach out who could not think they could afford, even their credit was bad, like crazy bad.
Yeah.
And I'm the last one to judge anyone on bad credit because I've had times where it dipped really, really low too. But there are easy little things people can do. And I'm not talking about a credit repair person where you're spending thousands. I'm talking like I have a program for $14 and your credit score jumps up 80 to 100 points. And
exactly. Simple stuff.
It's simple things. So yeah, it's just,
and you wouldn't know unless you reach out